All right, so this will be our fourth video, but this one is actually the first from chapter 9, sustaining biodiversity. So we want to look at how we can protect some of our biodiversity and our habitats. So what we'll do is we will start with kind of an example, Costa Rica. Costa Rica has remained an oasis of biodiversity. It is known for its birds. I've been there, and it's a great place to go birding. It was very, very high, I guess, on destroying their environment, and then they actually got smart, and now they are one of the leaders in how we should be taking care of areas. Their diversity is due to two factors: the tropical locations of the tropical rainforest, again, having so much biodiversity, and then the government's commitment to saving that biodiversity. They got smart. What they figured out is a bunch of rich Americans and Europeans would actually visit and pay lots of money. So ecotourism, and I'm sure they're being hurt as we speak during the pandemic. But what they did is they changed kind of their philosophy and established nature reserves and national parks, 27% of their land, and they stopped paying people to clear forest for grazing. And those two things really saved Costa Rica. All right, so let's talk about national capital. Forest structure, there's several different ones: old growth or primary forest, secondary growth, and then tree plantations. Obviously, old growth is the best, but we have a tendency to go in. We do have second growth forests, which basically means these are forests that have been cut down but allowed to grow back. And then, unfortunately, we still have tree plantations. These are managed forests that hold maybe one or two different species. All right, so putting a price on nature's ecosystem services, I don't know if you can, but somebody tried, and it comes down to about $125 trillion a year. Things that that nature's doing for free if we let it. And the services you can see are listed there to the on the bottom. And here you can see a tropical forest and how it's been cut down, clear cut right next to it. And so, unfortunately, anytime you get a new road into old growth, it immediately starts to get torn up, as you see on the bottom right, cleared. So one of the things that I noticed as we were flying into Costa Rica, into the capital, is you could see the clear cutting areas still occurring for crops and things, but definitely doing a better job. So harvesting trees, there's obviously different ways of doing it. There's selective cutting, where you go in and take a certain amount of trees of a certain size. There's clear cutting, where you just strip it all. And that's the one we tend to do because it's cheaper and quicker and easier. And then there is strip cutting, which you pretend that you're doing a good thing, and you leave trees. So you might clear it around a road, but leave it in other places. So all kinds of different ways of doing it. I'm not sure we do it well. Fires. Now, fires, I wanted to bring this up. I eliminated this in semesters past, but because California is on fire, I thought maybe it's a good time to look at this. In the sense that fires are needed. They are, for a healthy community, fires are needed. But our California policy of stopping fires at all costs has hurt us over the years, and poor management. So what happens is surface fires usually burn the leaf litter underneath and add valuable nutrients back to the soil. And this is, again, coastal sage scrub chaparral has always burnt this way. But now what's happened, we have so much fuel, we suppress it. We get these crown fires that are extremely hot, bounce, and pretty much everything is wiped out. So we have got to get back to a better type of management where we allow fires to clear out underbrush and maybe stop building houses in the middle of it. So we need an improved fire management. So we are doing prescribed burns. We're allowing public lands to burn as long as there's no property, and trying to get construction better so our houses are not quite so flammable. All right, deforestation is obviously a large part. We've eliminated half of the Earth's old growth forests. If we continue, 40% of the world's intact forests will be logged or converted, leaving us very, very little. And that leads to severe erosion, loss of topsoil, and again, it's going to change our global climate. Not a good idea. Here you can see Manifest Destiny. You can see kind of the idea. Forests cover 30% of the United States, habitat to 80% of the wildlife here, and a lot of our surface water. In the 1920s, we cut it way, way back. You can see how badly, but then we stopped cutting and did better management, and you can see some of the forests are now coming back. Tropical rainforests are still disappearing rapidly. Approximately 50 soccer fields of tropical forests every minute. And again, home to at least half of all the species on the planet. And it's happening in other countries. And I'm not sure that we have the right to go down there and tell them how to manage their forests. You know, we can plead, we can ask, but we did it to ours. So there is pressure from population growth. Again, government subsidies, if we need to stop those. Costa Rica did. And some of it just has to be for where they live and what grows well. And so some of the economic growth they can do. There are several ways to reduce tropical deforestation. You can see it here. And I'm going to let you read these. I would know these. These would be good for an exam. And how can we manage and sustain forests? There's lots of different things we can do. We've got to realize they're valuable. We've got to have the government realize they're valuable. We've got to make sure that when we take wood out, it is sustainable. The prices have to reflect what the actual cost of taking it is. And we have to just be more sustainable. And there are ways of doing it. There are crops, and so non-tree fibers such as knaf and hemp. We now have bamboo flooring. Bamboo is another one that grows very quickly and holds up pretty well. And so there are, although bamboo does need some water, there are ways of changing the way we do things, thinking outside the box, and that's really what we need to strive for. Okay, and then I'm going to throw one more slide in just for grasslands. Again, we need to sustain it better. We have livestock overgrazing. We've got to I'm not eliminate it, but we have to manage it better. We have got to encourage the invasion rangeland species that cattle will not eat. What the problem with the grazing is, we get these invasive species the cattle don't like, and because the cattle eats everything out, these invasive species then can spread without any competition. We need to graze rotationally. And we need to fence off areas that are damaged and let them reoccur. Maybe use herbicides and things to gently manage, but they have to be done correctly and lightly. And sometimes it may even be necessary to just kind of overgraze an area to put it into shock to help it respond back. And with that, I'll stop the recording.